to Norway Summit. This is a conference for us who are interested in the intersection between new technology, innovation, and economy. And of course, for us who love chess.
The question is, why do we need to innovate and transform as a country and as an economy? And how are we doing? Is it going well? Are we on the right track?
We've got a huge set of challenges. I think they fall into three categories. They fall into the technology challenge, they fall into the financial challenge, and they fall into the geopolitical challenge. And these three all intersect. It's a triangle of sadness, if you will. The number I'll give you is $215 trillion.
Yeah.
That's a number most of us have never heard. I've never heard that number before. When I read, I thought, what does that mean? That is the amount that is estimated today to achieve the agreement that was reached about 10 years ago and signed by 196 countries in the Paris Agreement to get to a net zero emissions by 2050.
In trying to be part of the solution or the green transition, don't be a positive influence in terms of addressing one of these planetary crises we have if it exacerbates the other one. So climate crisis has been on the radar for a long time. Nature crisis is now coming full force with nature regulations and international agreements. Okay, so please be aware that you may be doing good in reducing climate emissions, but you may be harming nature and affecting loss of biodiversity.
And it's all about different levels of what I would call a very combustible combination of grievance, of insecurity, vulnerability, and fear that we see stalking Europe at the moment. The point is that all these different conflicting aims, which we all know about, whether it's nuclear power, whether it's the waste cycle for the waste disposal and so on, or whether it's how to deal with the aftermath of leaving the European Union, they all bring both positives and negatives. And it's balancing all those things up with an electorate which is more and more fickle, more and more educated, more and more informed, although often massively over-informed. That's the problem for politicians.
I mean, my goal is that the war ends because Ukraine wins. And also, if everyone does something, not anyone can do very big things, but if everyone does something, then we're a good way on the go.
I was born in Angola. The civil war was happened. It gave me a flashback when I'm seeing the war in Ukraine because it cost a lot of life and about young people. But my dad always told me, take care of the people around you and accept that we are different. But the goal is that if we work together, we can establish that people can standing together and make it great, the war great again.
A man who probably needs very little to no introduction in this room, the greatest player of all time as far as most and all chess fanatics are concerned. He is a 17-time world champion now, if you include Rapid and Blitz and Classical, 5-time Classical. He's been doing it better than anyone for the last several decades, and we all hope that the future remains full of Magnus Carlsen playing chess. And so to get his thoughts on the future of the game, let's welcome the man of the hour, Magnus Carlsen. We've now seen multiple chess booms. I kind of described a little of the pandemic, Netflix, content online, the streamers. With the audience having grown to where it is, a lot of the questions come in as to what's next for chess. What are the audiences we're not reaching? Where should the game go from a growth perspective? And if you just speak broadly about what you think the next growth levers are for the game of chess, what are some of the things that come to your mind on that?
I think a lot of great things have happened. How to take the next step, I'm not quite sure. As you said, there are a lot of people playing chess that don't watch chess, and that's always sort of the way it's going to be. But clearly, us players have a big responsibility also in trying to, increase our visibility, our profiles, because truth be told, like we're mostly quite boring, but we don't have to appear that way necessarily.
So for instance, right now, we have 3 exponentially growing technologies happening in our society. Genomics, which is the ability to kind of edit genes to maybe cure diseases and so on. AI, which I totally encourage my kids to use to cheat on every single college essay they have, which is the topic of another talk. And crypto, which is quietly and slowly, becoming this, dominating currency on the planet, or at least, and there's so many other functionalities and uses for crypto that as its acceptance gets wider, we'll see what its ultimate end use cases are. But I would argue that nobody really knows how to predict where AI and all these things will be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and so on. I mean, Thomas Edison famously, he had to make a list of use cases the day after he invented the phonograph, and his number 1 use case was to preserve the words of dead people. So nothing about music on his list.